Vanakkam, this is Dr. M and welcome to yet another episode of the biking experience. Last week, Royal Enfield launched the Himalayan, the new one, the Sherpa 450, and priced it at around 2.75 lakhs ex Delhi. So in Chennai, it will work out around 320, 330. Well, I happened to go visit the showroom, Rudra Motors in Shanti Colony. They were gracious enough to invite me. And when I met the manager, Mr. Arun Kumar, I told him, see, I want to touch and feel the motorcycle when people are not around. I want to get the first feel of that motorcycle because I couldn't get that with the GS. My dealership denied that to me. They said, no, we cannot. We will just call you when the keys are being handed over to you. So I waited for everybody to leave. I set up my lights, my camera, everything. I went and sat on the motorcycle. I felt it. I felt the height. I felt the vibrations. I felt the note of the exhaust. I heard the note of the exhaust, not felt it, right? And this brilliant display that it was, the headlights and all of that. And this is my first thoughts video. Just like I would get onto any ADV motorcycle, I got onto the Himalayan too. And it didn't feel like I was getting on an ADV because usually on the GS or even on the Duke Adventure, you literally climb on the motorcycle. Here, you were just throwing your leg over the motorcycle like how you would do on any commute motorcycle. And that felt kind of odd because I was hoping the bike to be a little taller. And when I sat, I'm 5'11", my foot was flat. I even had a bend at my knee, which is definitely not there on a GS or on the KTM Adventure. I'm not sure if this is the seat lowered version or if this is the tall version, but I felt absolutely at home sitting on this motorcycle. I felt that I could actually take any terrain. In my mind, I could probably sense the feeling that maybe they did design this bike with a lot of city commute in mind, because anyone who buys a Himalayan, you don't expect them to ride in the Himalayas all the time, right? They are going to be using it in India. That's the purpose, right? Every day is about going to work and the same bike takes you out of town. That's duality, that makes Indian market a very, very niche market. In fact, the Southeast Asian market is like that. Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, people buy motorcycles for dual purpose. So the Himalayan wasn't in that segment, the first one. It was a very tall boyish, little comfortable to be maneuvering around. I mean, people skillfully did, but then, it's a tough bike to ride in the city. Unlike the GS. The GS is absolutely brilliant to ride in the city. Everybody says, what? How can you ride such a big motorcycle? I would be like, hey, you know what? It is so brilliant with its low center of gravity. Anyway, coming back to the Himalayan, I'm just wavering off in here in between the GS because I feel the GS is the most greatest bike in the world, but the Himalayan, I'll tell you, is the next greatest bike in the world. Because the minute I cranked it, I could feel the premiumness that was there in the motorcycle. The headlights, the switchgear. Oh, the switchgear was beautiful. The lights were beautiful. The body lines were beautiful. But a little bit of framework, there was a little bit of welding things that I could see. And while I settled down to talk about the motorcycle, there were lots of other things that were running in my mind. For example, the brake lights. Now, if I were to design a motorcycle, I would actually want to keep a separate brake light. I'll tell you why. There's a wavelength clash. See, the ambers and the reds are similar wavelength lights. And from afar, these two lights clash. Now, if you had seen the war movies, they would always have a red IR light, which they use to read their maps. It's a very short wavelength, or it's a long wavelength. So the enemies can't see it, but its intensity is really high. But the amber, on the other hand, is a very long wavelength light. That's why if you are far and if you have your blinkers on, someone will be able to see it. Now put both these lights together. You brake and then you have your indicator on, you don't know what is burning. In fact, from behind, when I look at the ambers, which is kind of like a DRL of the back, it looks like there are two, not the ambers, the reds, right? They're always on. It looks like there are two motorcycles that are going very close to each other. And somebody might want to come in between, just like in that Tamil movie, Chinnathambi. that comedy joke. If you happen to see it, it's a hilarious scene, something like that. And also felt that the side stand extended out a lot. Now, there's a problem with somebody like me who carries quite a bit of luggage, especially panniers, right? It's going to put more load on the side of the motorcycle. I think they designed it that way. Even the GS, it's like that. It's very tough to take it off your side stand. If you're on a slight incline, put it up, click it, and then start riding. It's a little tough. But on the GS, the minute you tip it a little bit on the other side, then the bike's low center of gravity balances it beautifully. But here, I'm not sure. I love the note, the exhaust note. There is a shot that I played of the pure sound of it. It was recorded and mastered, so you guys have to listen to it on a headphone. I'll try to play a little bit of sample here. The exhaust note is just beautiful, and I can already think how it's going to sing when I'm cruising over 120 or 130. Other than that, the seats were fine. They were very comfortable. They were not very cushy. And the handlebars felt solid. The ride quality, I don't know how that is going to be. Let's wait for the test vehicle. So far, the motorcycle impressed me really well. I looked at it, I loved it. So I'm hoping that this bike turns out to be great for a ride. And one more thing I would like to add here is, if Royal Enfield could add certain spots in the motorcycle where you can add an aux light, because adding an aux light, everybody adds an aux light in their motorcycle, because when they are off-roading, during twilight is when they normally off-road, or early in the morning between 6 to 7, and the light is very poor sometimes in winter. So everybody invariably ends up buying an aux light, be it a Chinese light or Bahas or clear waters. They could custom give you an option where you can actually add an aux light. I think another motorcycle, I think the Triumph 400 has an option for you to mount your action camera somewhere. I'm not sure where I saw that or read it. They could think about something in that lines. And on the day of the launch, they did not have the accessories list come out. So I don't know how it is to kit the motorcycle. I was looking, well, I've already booked the motorcycle even before I rode it. I'm looking to see where I can kit it. Probably the Arrow exhaust sounds interesting, but on a single cylinder and an Arrow, I'm not sure how that might sound. But let's see. But definitely I'm going for a side carrier and maybe a saddle stay. And I'm not sure, there are some videos which show the bike carrying aluminum panniers. I'm not sure if the bike can take that lug of luggage. We'll have to see. I probably are thinking something like a rackless system from Moscow Moto or Enduristan, or if some Indian company is making it. With a small saddle stay, you will have to, because the exhaust comes a little bit in the way. Otherwise, the bike is absolutely beautiful. It sounds good. It looks good, and it feels good too. So good job, Royal Enfield. Thanks so much for watching this video, and let's hope the test bike comes out so we can ride it and get a first-hand experience on that. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Dr. M with the vocal experience. Do like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon.